All right. So you have been in your role now for a little over 2 years, right?
That's right.
Um, you came in with some big ideas about what you thought you maybe wanted to do. So off the top here, I guess just tell me, both in terms of programs and in terms of infrastructure upgrades, what have you guys done in your 2 years since you've arrived?
Great question, Jared. Looking back over the last 2 years, I think we take a lot of pride in what we as an institution have accomplished. And I say institution because while I think as a new CEO, I was able to catalyze a lot of the change, it takes a proverbial village. And that for me means the incredible staff that we have here at the Kaiserman JCC, and we've grown the staff and brought in new energy, enthusiasm, and expertise in that regard. We've grown our board significantly, and that means similarly great new passionate lay leaders who have ideas, energy, enthusiasm, and commitment.
Yeah.
And ultimately, that team has really generated so much that we could look back and be proud of. So at the top, I'd say first and foremost that around this time last year, our board adopted a new strategic plan for the institution. I'm a firm believer that institutions with a coherent vision for where they want to be in the community over the course of the next 2, 3, 5 years, 10 years into the future, that roadmap inspires and provides a consistent compass. And we've adopted that strategic plan and began to work really vigorously on that plan over the course of this past year.
Your
Number
your volume sounds a little bit um distant now.
how's this?
It's a little better. Can I don't know what changed in that moment.
Strange. Mm, Let me check my audio settings and I'm going to test my speaker. All right. It says everything's working properly. Do you hear me okay?
I hear you okay. It doesn't sound as loud and as clear as it did before. It's fine. We only have 30 minutes. Let's do it. All right. So strategic plans are great. Incredible staffs are great. What programs though have you guys added since you've been here?
Oh, we've added a host of programs. So just to frame things around the strategic plan, because I think that's really critical. First and foremost, we really clarified the populations that we wanted to serve here at the Kaiserman JCC. I think oftentimes it can be a stumbling block to institutions like community centers to get into businesses that maybe they are not so situated to be successful in it. So we really clarified that our focus here in the Kaiserman JCC is on young families, older adults, and teenagers. And so with that framework, we were able to bring over the course of the last 2 years a lot of new resources to the table to serve those populations. So, for example, in our early childhood program, we've rapidly expanded our preschool, and that's now serving more families than we ever had before here
What
at the
expansion?
Kaiserman JCC.
What expansions did you make there?
So we added 2 classrooms over the last 2 years, which has
Yeah.
expanded the program. And we're in an active conversation. This was one of the priorities of our strategic plan to begin a second preschool over the course of the next couple of years, which is a really exciting testament to the demand that we see for our programs and speaks to the niche that we've carved out really as a positive expert in this space.
Yeah.
In addition to the preschool, comprehensively thinking about how to serve young families is a priority here. So that's meant a host of new programs that serve the little ones, whether it's our J Babies and J Toddlers program, whether it's parenting initiatives, kids gym programs. We've really broaden the services for those young families, both here at the JCC and also beyond the JCC. Through our Jay on the Way program, we're serving young families in Delaware County with Jewish engagement initiatives. We're serving young families in West Philadelphia, and that's been a big success. The teens, similarly, have been a real area of priority for us, in addition to continuing to grow our JCC Maccabi program, which I know you're familiar with. I was so inspired to be firsthand on the ground this summer in Israel, seeing our JCC Maccabi athletes in action. We bring one of the largest delegations across the country to the games annually, and this summer bringing them to Israel and Fort Lauderdale is inspiring. In addition, we were so proud to bring to the table the Diller Teen Fellows program, which is now at home here at the Kaiserman JCC. We're in the process of accepting our 7th class of Diller Teen Fellows, which is just such a preeminent leadership program, not only here in Philadelphia, but globally. When I was in Israel, I had the opportunity to see that firsthand as well, and see the 32 global communities that participate in that, and really the next generation of leaders that participate in that program through the Diller experience. So being the home, not just to the Diller Teen Fellows program, but our regional JCC Maccabi program, has really solidified a lot of our functions and focus here on teens. The older adult piece is a major area that we have grown back. When I began here at the Kaiserman JCC a little over 2 years ago, our older adult programs were at a standstill, and we've roared back significantly and are serving, almost 1,000 older adults on an annualized basis. And that's really solidified over the course of the last couple of weeks with our amazing new partnership with the GEMS program. So GEMS at the J is our new cornerstone comprehensive older adult program. We're so proud to have what was.
What is it?
So Golden Slipper GEMS was a longstanding, well-known older adult serving institution here in the Jewish landscape of Philadelphia. They for many years operated programs largely on the Main Line and Bucks County. And as of this past week, that is now officially a part of the Kaiserman JCC. GEMS at the J is now the nomenclature and overarching umbrella for the breadth and services of our older adult programs, from Jewish enrichment programs, high-level college-style university classes, to fitness and wellness programs, all focused on those active older adults. And those programs have come under our umbrella here at the JCC and are led by the incredible team that are now staff members of the Kaiserman JCC.
What are some classes and programs in that category?
So today is a great example. Today we had almost 200 older adults celebrating with us what we call our Taste of Gems, which is this opening suite of programs. They came together at the Bryn Mawr Film Institute to see the new Golda film. There was an opportunity to hear from a local professor, both a historical perspective as well as to have a little bit of a dialogue about the film, how the film contextualizes the Golda experience, and for individuals to come together and connect. It was an incredible kickoff program, and I think a nice example of the kind of cultural arts program that GEMS will produce moving forward.
All right. Are there any infrastructure improvements that you want to mention?
Yeah. So as one of the additional cornerstones of our strategic plan, we recognized that our building needed investment. And I personally, as a leader and veteran of many JCCs, recognize that the health and wellness of your programs only goes so far. In addition, it's critical that the building reflect the vibrancy of the programs and staff. And frankly, our building didn't reflect that in the way that we wanted. And so
where did the building need improvements?
I think top to bottom, you looked around and it didn't look as fresh ultimately as we wanted. And so over the course of the last several years, we put several $100,000 into the building.
Since you
People,
started? Since you started, you put several $100,000 in the building?
yeah, and the vibrancy, I think, is reflected in the space in those areas. So we've seen a radically transformed swimming pool that people remark upon as just beautiful, wonderful outdoor pool that has dramatically changed over the course of the last 2 years. We've put money into our back lobby and have completely redesigned that area, incorporating both the Jewish Sports Hall of Fame beautifully and our JCC Maccabi Sports Hall of Fame. We've done some critical infrastructural work around our building, firming up some of our operational systems. We've put money into our gymnasium, into safety and security, into our preschool classrooms, and a myriad of other capacities. But Jared, it's really only the tip of the iceberg. So this year, knowing that this was not only a strategic priority, but a long-term process, we procured a significant grant from the state of Pennsylvania. They're called RACP grants. This was a $500,000 grant that we were able to procure in order to continue to make further investments in the building. That funding is to be matched dollar for dollar. And over the course of the last year, we've been fundraising to ensure we have that match. And I'm really proud to share that we matched that $500,000, actually exceeded it. And next year, we'll be investing upwards of $1 million more into the building.
$1 million is a lot of money. What are you going to put that into?
So first and foremost, we're going to put it into the areas of emphasis. So you're not going to be surprised to hear that our preschool will receive a significant chunk of that. We want our preschool lobby, which, as I described earlier, is more tired than I'd like, to be a stunning, wonderful entrance and really reflect the vibrancy of that program. So we'll be doing significant work to that preschool lobby that enhances not only the look and feel and accessibility of that space, but also continues to enhance security, knowing how important that is to our Jewish institutions. We're also going to be doing significant work to our gymnasium. Our gymnasium is, in a lot of respects, in a lot of people's opinion, the heart and soul of the Kaiserman JCC, the court that Kobe played on, such a rich history of engagement, youth sports, JCC Maccabi. And so we're going to put an incredible new perspective into that space and really kind of soup to nuts change the complexion of that, updating everything from the floor to the bleachers to the lighting. Lastly, a little less exciting, but we are going to be doing some really important HVAC work that ensures we're energy efficient for the future at our institution and really forward facing in that respect.
Makes sense. What were the security upgrades that you guys did in the gym? You mentioned those before.
Well, one doesn't actually talk specifically about security protocols and or security upgrades for understandable reasons. I'll just say that the Kaiserman JCC has continued to be the beneficiary of security.
That's good. All right, Alan. So you and I, when you first got here, talked a lot about the big picture. What should a JCC be in this day and age? You just froze, actually. Can you still hear me?
Jared, do you hear me?
Yeah, you just froze for a second. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, that was my internet connection just went out. It appears to be back on now. All right, let's continue. So when you first got here, you and I talked a lot about the big picture and what should a JCC be in this day and age. How do these improvements and these upcoming improvements answer that question?
Can you frame the question again, Jared? I'm not sure I understand.
When you first got here in the Philly area, you and I talked a lot about what a JCC should be in this day and age, in the Jewish community. So how do you feel that these improvements answer that question of what a JCC should be? If you put them all
Well,
together.
yeah, I mean, our strategic priority had at the heart and center of it this vision of the Kaiserman JCC as a vibrant hub of Jewish communal life here in Lower Merion and increasingly beyond across our region. And I think in so many different capacities over the course of the last 2 years, we have illustrated that. We have become a vibrant center of Jewish culture here in the community. You know, when I think about the way we were able to work with Jewish Federation to host our big Israel 75th event, there were 3,000 plus people here on our campus flowing through the JCC. It was an intentional decision that we as a JCC could play that communal tentpole host role. It was so exciting. And I have seen that play out not only there, but in the new events that we've introduced to the community, our now annual fall festival that brings hundreds of people each fall. Look out for it on October 15th to our communal campus to celebrate not only Jewish holidays, but the spirit of the community. We are that vibrant hub. The programs that I mentioned earlier, our JCC Maccabi programs, our Dillertine Fellows programs, our summer programs I haven't even had the opportunity to talk about, like our Camp Kef program. This summer, we served more children in Camp Kef than we ever had before. 530 plus children attended Camp Kef. We are the region's largest Jewish day camp. And that's really exciting and inspiring that people would recognize us in that capacity and see the vibrancy of our institution really personified with that energy, with that enthusiasm. And I think it's reflected also in some of the growth that I described earlier, the fact that our board has grown significantly over my tenure, just as a result of growth continued of fundraising and investment in this building,
Yeah,
where I think absolutely in a lot of respects showcasing what I feel is a personification of the best of what a JCC can play.
that makes a lot of sense. On a personal level, 2+ years in, how do you feel about your decision to come here?
Oh, that's such a lovely question, and I appreciate you asking it. I mean, it's going to sound a little hokey, Jared, but I would use the word bashert. I feel so blessed each and every day to have found myself here in Philadelphia. My family feels equally. This has been a wonderful, wonderful place to spend the last 2.5 years. My family is so thrilled to continue to flourish here, which is how we view our setting in the Philadelphia area. We have found quick and really wonderful friendships and deep and inspiring circumstances, relationships. It's been a real, real boon to everyone. And I have really taken to Philadelphia. I think it's a phenomenal place that really reflects in a lot of ways my character. I'm someone that tends to side with the underdog. I think the Kaiserman JCC was in a lot of respects an underdog story. It still is an underdog story. And I think in true Philadelphia spirit, what we've seen over the course of the last 2 years is only the beginning. We want to continue to thrive upward, push farther, and that's that Philly spirit.
Sound like a Philadelphian. You an
Yeah,
Eagles fan now?
I support the union. How's that?
Oh man, that's a hipster sports fan take right there.
Funny, I was at a Foot Locker buying shoes for my older kid the other day, and I walked in with a Philadelphia Eagles shirt on because
yeah,
I do live in Philadelphia and it is kind of required. And the guy
right.
was like, "Ugh,
I don't like Philadelphia teams. I can't serve you. I laughed at him. I was like, well, first of all, like I don't even really support the Eagles, but like it's part of my job to have Eagles gear on. I mean, come on.
Yeah, yep. That's funny. So I think we've discussed this before with Camp Kef, but how much do you feel the JCC is benefiting post COVID from the realization that people had during COVID, which was that they really need community and they can't just be isolated all the time in these pods behind their screens?
Benefited greatly.
Yeah.
So we, Jared, we haven't gotten to talk too much yet about the future, but as I mentioned briefly earlier, we continue to have really bold, ambitious plans for what we want this community center to look like tomorrow and into the future. And we've been having conversations not only with key stakeholders from around the community, but in particular the folks at Lower Merion Township. And Lower Merion Township is seeing some really concrete trends in terms of demographics and how those demographics are behaving. I think it's probably of interest to you to hear that, first and foremost, the demographics are really here in Lower Merion building around older adults and young families. And that's not coincidental. Why, as a result of those demographic trends, we're focusing as a community center that's responsive to our community in those areas. Those are two populations who, to your point, were so pained by the troubles of the pandemic, particularly young families, particularly older adults, and the isolation that afflicted those two core populations was really profound. And for us to be the solve, a community center to be the solve, has been my pitch consistently to Lower Merion Township and everyone who will listen. We can be a place that can help this community really flourish post pandemic. And I think we've played that role, and I think we'll continue to play that role.
Well said. Thanks, Alan. Appreciate you taking the time today.
It's my
Um,
pleasure.